So you been busy today? How's your day been looking so far?
As I said, yeah, I've been basically at coffee shop emailing. Emailing because we got about 20 filmmakers that haven't sent their stuff in. So first I go through because we have two places that they could be at. Mm-hmm. And so I go and look at those. So either they've put it on Film Freeway where we can download it, or they put it in our Dropbox. Okay. And so I sent out some stuff last week going, hey, we need your stuff. So some of them gotten their stuff in there that didn't before.
Yes.
And, so luckily I've gone to, and a couple of them are like, all right, you're on the good list now.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, so I'm just like sitting in email going, I need your film.
Uh-huh. Can you scoot your mic back just a little bit this way so that people can see your face more? Okay. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'm sure you guys are happy for that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, you got a good enough mic. I don't have to be right up on it.
Can you kind of talk about what you do here with film? Because I think of you as a filmmaker. Would you consider yourself a filmmaker?
Yeah, I'm a filmmaker, so I also make movies.
And then how do you do that here in Fort Smith? What all do you do?
Well, the entire River Valley Film Society came about from me making a film.
Wow.
So I was working on a movie and my camera operator didn't know who the sound guy was, and they were from the same town. And so I was like, well, I need a way to try to figure out who all is here that can do, all the different aspects, because when you do a movie, a movie is it's a team sport. That's what I like to tell people. And so you got to get a team together. Mm-hmm. So I created the River Valley Film Society as well to figure out who all was doing stuff in this whole area. And what we would do is once a month, we would feature one or two filmmakers and show their movies and have meetings where, people could get to know each other. And then in January of 2020, we were showing Clay Pruitt's The 24 at the bakery. And 340 people showed up. And we kind of looked at each other and we said, maybe we could do a film festival in Fort Smith.
Wow.
So that's kind of how that came about.
320 people?
Yeah.
Wow.
We basically, Okay. Over 340 actually.
Jeez.
Showed up. Yeah, we had to keep getting chairs and putting in another row, and we're...
So what was happening for all these people to show up? You were doing...
Well, so what we would do is once a month we would feature the films for a local filmmaker. Okay. And then we had 340 people show up for the premiere of his movie. Okay. And so we were like, well, maybe we should do a film festival. 340 people will show up to a single film.
So these films that people are creating that are locally, like what? I'm trying to figure out how to ask the question correctly. But why are they making these films and where are they going? Because, for instance, like sometimes you hear about people who make films and that it's not going to be like one where they go to film festivals and they're trying to sell it. Some of them, they're just passion projects. So how much of it is like just a passion project versus like, no, this is a film, that someone made and they're actually going to go try and sell it.
Well, filmmaking is a learning experience. Mm-hmm. So the majority of our films at the film festival are short films from 7 to 17 minutes long. What you do with as a filmmaker is you put all your money and all your budget. If you can do a good 10-minute film, because you got to think about that. A feature-length film, is about, say 90 minutes long.
Yes. So
what you're showing off is that you can do 10 minutes at the quality of a Hollywood 90-minute film. Mm. And so you're showing that off. But here's the thing. Now more and more, there are streaming services that are picking up those 10-minute films. Mm. Because guess what? People's attention spans are a little smaller these days. And so actually people can go and sell these films. There's one filmmaker in town. I showed his feature-length film last year. And he's been making one film every month he's been making a film, or every 2 months he's been making a film all year. So it kind of spurred him showing his film in the film festival. So he's going through that learning process of learning on making all these films. And we have a lot of filmmakers, a lot of actors in town who are in a lot of his movies. We're going to show some of his. His name is Rudy Adar. Okay. And so, but then we have other filmmakers, local Jason Pitts. He's been for years making short films. He just finished his first feature length.
Wow. So 90?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's finished it. They just finished production, I think, like a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And so that's that learning process. So around here, you're seeing people learn and get better and better and better and better. And then you get to that point that you want to make a feature length. But that's the great thing about the market is that nowadays you don't have to wait till you make a feature length film to make some money on your film.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, because to my understanding, the way that it used to be is you would make the 10-minute to pitch for getting a feature film. But now you're saying it's changed. You know, people are liking a short film so much to where that itself is just selling.
Oh.
They're not just making it to pitch to get a feature film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Because you got to think what's great about our even our short films, we got actors and actresses who are in everything from Criminal Minds to Game of Thrones.
What?
The list, I have an entire list, that are in the film festival.
Wow.
And so what happens is you have a filmmaker or an actor, they're on a big TV show and they're on something else. They want to do something on their own and say, hey, I can do this. So they want to go and show that they can also direct. So they may come and direct. So we have a movie that's directed by, I'm trying to remember what I think she's in Criminal Minds.
Okay.
And, are you a Trekkie by any chance? If you are, so Star Trek, so the new TV series Discovery, when the main actor's in Discovery is the main actor in her film.
Oh, wow.
And so we have.
Okay. And where was this filmed?
That one was done in LA, but we have them coming from all over the country.
Yes.
We're going to be featuring in the film festival 80 Arkansas and Oklahoma filmmakers.
Okay.
And then we also are showing 30 films from foreign countries.
Okay, let's back a little bit. So the name of the organization is called?
So we have the River Valley Film Society.
Okay.
And so that's the 501c3, the nonprofit that is the backing behind the Fort Smith International Film Festival.
International. Okay, so the International Film Festival is where all the films from all over come in.
Yeah, we've had submissions from over 80 countries. You pick a continent, and we've pretty much covered every continent.
Wow.
In the world have submitted a film, and they know about Fort Smith.
Wow.
And we did a study, the AMP Commission did, and they looked at all of our marketing for the first 3 years. And our media reach in the first 3 years was 1.3 billion.
Whoa. That's crazy.
Yeah. I was like, is that even a real number? I was like, do that again. And they ran the numbers again. They came out the same way. And I was like, okay.
Wow. Okay. So how many people do you have on your team helping you with all these films?
So the process of the film festival starts in January. So we launch in January and we get submissions all the way until May. So we have a programming team that starts with that. And what they do is we get screeners, volunteers from all over. And I think we had around 50 volunteers, 50 screeners this year that are watching films for us. And what they do is they watch a film, they give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, 1 to 10 star rating. Let me know what category it is because people just submit it as a short film. And then they give me one bad comment, one good comment. And so we got 541 films in this year. So every film has to be watched by 3 people. So 1,700 watches had to happen.
Wow.
Before we could start picking which films were going to be in the festival. And so what that does, that gives me a baseline. So if somebody has three thumbs down and a 2-star rating, then, I might glance at it just in case, just to see. And then if something has, 3 thumbs up and a 9-star rating, it's a pretty good chance it's going to be in the festival. What I like looking for, especially during the submission period, is because you can do, searches in the program we use, Film Freeway, is I go and I try to find the films that have a 2-star rating and a 9-star rating. Because that film's doing something to someone. That film is making someone hate it or making someone actually love it. So there's something special about a film that does that. So it's not sometimes just going after the films that just everyone loves. You're trying to find something that, you want to affect your audience. And so I'll try to find those gems. And so this year I watched 455 movies.
Wow. Oh,
well, I'm crazy like that. But it's great. So if you're a filmmaker, that what I tell is if someone doesn't have a film that they're putting in my festival, I said, be a screener. It is the best film school because you see people do things and you're like, ooh, that was bad. Let me make sure I never do that. Or you see something and you're like, I never thought of that. That's a really cool idea or a really interesting way to do this sequence of shots. And you learn. It's a great learning experience. And that's why I'm going through and I'm watching as many as we can. And here's the thing. So, now they don't all make it into the film festival. And so, we're getting films in from all over the world. And it's just great getting to see, different cultures and, different people. And what I tell people when we get the foreign films in, what strikes me the most are not the differences. It's the similarities.
Yes.
And this is the reason why you show films from around the world is to bring those worlds here to Fort Smith so people can realize that the human experience is the same no matter where you're from.
Yes.
And they might be from a different country and you get to witness that, people, have the same emotions, have the same reactions. And that to me is what bringing culture in is so that people can see and have a connection with people. So they're no longer this other out there and they can go, oh yeah, that's kind of the same thing I do here.
Yeah.
But they may be doing it in, Vietnam or in Argentina or Australia. We get films, as I said, from all over the world.
Oh, that's awesome. How'd you get into filmmaking?
I started that when I was in high school.
And what sparked that?
Well, we were the kids who would convince our teachers to let us make a video instead of write a paper, which ended up being about, 5 times more work. But so I'm going to date myself here. We had 2 VCRs and a CD player, but we were the cool kids because one of our VCRs had a hi-fi, had 2 channels. So we could do our dialogue on one channel, and then on the other channel, we could re-record and throw down a soundtrack on the background.
Wow.
And so, we would go and we'd make these videos. And so after that happened, I ended up getting a job with Williams Tool Company. Actually, I was on vacation in Fort Smith. I won't go through that whole story. I ended up getting a job with them. And at 19 years old, I was their chief computer animator. They moved. I grew up in San Antonio, Texas. That's where I grew up.
Okay.
And so that was funny as I came here and then I'm going back to Texas to College Station. Yes, I did go to Texas A&M. All my friends went to UT Film School. So I was over there doing computer animation and they were learning film school. So when I got done with that job and they graduated, we started our first film company in 97 or 98 in Austin, Texas. And, sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so great to work with friends.
Yes.
But what's wonderful is one of my friends, Doug Carter, he has gone on through the industry and he has now been first assistant director in Friday Night Lights, Better Call Saul. So he's made his way up through the industry. Wow. So when I'm working on a film these days and I have a question, I'll call him up. He was super helpful because I was doing some shooting during COVID. And I was like, help me through what we got to do for this. And so he helped us put together a great COVID plan. And I think we were we were the first actual people on a major set to use COVID policies to film in Arkansas.
How do you think things would have turned out if you didn't have that core group of guys that y'all just kind of created films together? You asked the teacher if you can create a video instead of, write a paper. How do you think things may have turned out differently? Do you think it would have went in the same direction for each of you?
Well, probably not, because that's what I say. Filmmaking is a team sport. And that's what you learn is if you try to do everything on your own, if you're trying to, it was great as we had one guy who was a computer nerd. So he would build out all the computers for our editing, and then we had our friend who was great with a camera. We had our musician friends who could make, our soundtracks for us, and they understood sound, right? So here's where a lot of people make a mistake is a lot of filmmakers are so visually focused. They forget sound. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the biggest problems that I see when people submit a film to the film festival. It'll be beautiful visually.
Yes.
And the sound will suck. And that's why it's a team. And so learning early.
Well, what do you mean suck? Tell me what you mean by suck. Like you're talking.
You can't dialogue's bad. Maybe there's some background noise that's overriding a scene. Like people, you need a really good sound person. Like that's a whole job in itself. Like you need to pay attention to sound as much as you do the visuals. And then the other thing with visuals too, and that's so like, when you start building your teams out and you start so look at like some of my favorite films are films that have groups of people who've worked together, forever, and so they find the guys who can do this. And so you have your one friend who maybe they love making props, right? And so that's another thing that a lot of independent films that you can tell is their art design. They don't pay attention to what's going on in that room. What is the design of that room? And so when I would teach film at UFIS, I told my students, everything that is in that frame on that screen, you're in charge of. And that's why it's good too to have a good camera and lighting friend.
Yes.
Who knows how to make things look good in lighting. You have someone who can do set. So if you have someone whose sole job is to make the set look good, someone's sole job to make that lighting and camera work look good, someone's only job is to make the costumes and take care of the costumes and the makeup and the hair, they're going to make those things look great. And so that's where the kind of building that team. And that's why if you're a solo filmmaker and trying to do that, it's that to actually take it to the next level, you won't be able to do it.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then. There are a lot of people who are listening right now who may be like younger, maybe even in high school, or they're a parent and they have a kid who have some of these, like they desire to be a filmmaker, or they desire to do sound, or they desire to be on a set, but like they don't have these people, these friends that you had around them. What do they do then? How do they get started?
Well, the best way to get started. So nowadays, I had to have 2 VCRs and a CD player. You have an entire movie studio on your phone nowadays. Everything that I taught this in class. I actually taught iPhone movie making. Everything that you need to do to make a movie is on your phone. I've made TV commercials for clients using nothing but my phone.
I have to.
Exactly. And like I show up and they're like, where's all the camera equipment? Because, these people are used to like all the old school TV, news stations coming in with all the equipment. I'm like, I got it. They're like, really? And then I show it and I shoot it and they're like, what? I'm like, yes. Like but you still got to pay attention to the basics.
Yes.
If you're going to shoot on your phone, so shoot it like you would on a camera. Make sure you pay attention to your lighting, pay attention to all the elements. Start learning the elements.
Yes.
But, and then I guess if you're shooting on your own, one of the biggest things that you learn on your own is editing. And like editing is something that you have to learn by doing and messing up.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Filmmaking is about screwing up because what you got to do is you got to mess things up so you can do them better. No one comes out of the box being amazing. Nobody. Even Steven Spielberg has movies he doesn't want people to see,
Yes,
when they were younger, when you're doing stuff. But that's that learning process. That's that visual storytelling. Because what you do is you have this idea in your head. And then you got to transfer it onto a screen. Or if you're working with a group of people, you got to work with that group of people to transfer that idea onto a screen. How does it sound? What does it look like? And so it's that imagination thing. So if you're if you're a painter, you can just sit and do it all on your own. You don't need anyone else. But if you're a filmmaker, and so learning, you're going to have to learn to build that team. You have to, because if you really want to take it far, you can start by learning on your own, playing around with stuff and learning all the elements, because it is good to know every single part of filmmaking, right?
Yes.
Because you need to know those aspects.
Yes.
If you're going to build a team. So you need to know what to ask for. You need to know the language of each, because each aspect of film has its own language.
Yes.
And knowing all those languages will help you build a team, because then you know who you're looking for.
Yes, I agree. What are some of your films from a young age and some of your films nowadays that make you wonder, that like kind of give you that creative spark? Maybe from like the beginning of when you first started watching films and you began to, kind of have some inspiration of like, I want to do this one day. And then what are some of those films, those new age films now that you still look at and you're like, man, this is a work of art?
Well, I actually got to see Star Wars, Return of the Jedi in the theater. growing up in ET and all that stuff.
So that was like 1849 or something.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that?
yeah. I had to push the dinosaur out of the way to get my popcorn. And
What year was that really though?
well, so I was born in 75.
Okay.
And so I can't remember when the first Star Wars, but the Return of the Jedi and all those, I was old enough. And actually, I think I saw Return of the Jedi when I was on vacation here in Fort Smith, because as I told you, I grew up in San Antonio. We would come here for vacation. But I'm going to tell you, it's not the great films that made me want to do film.
Yeah, that's why I asked, because I'm curious of what
It
what
was
those
films that I saw, and I was like, holy crap, that made it to the big screen? I can do better than that. That is what drove me and my friends, was that we could do better. And we believed that we could do better, and we could tell better stories. But of course you learn from the other things. So Blockbuster was my film school.
Wait, who?
This place where you could go and rent videos at back in the day, Blockbuster Video.
Oh, you're talking about that. I think I saw that movie in like that place in Back to the Future or something. Wasn't it in there?
Yeah, Back to the Future.
Okay.
Those
Yeah,
video
yeah.
stores, right?
Oh, okay.
So,
Wait, people used to actually go into stores and get DVDs?
well, this was before that. I was back when you had to get a VHS player, and you had to be kind, rewind, because you needed to rewind your films before you brought them up, or, you're giving me extra work.
Jeez. Now you can just swipe.
Oh, exactly.
You got all the content right there at your fingers.
Exactly.
Binge watch.
And so what I did is I put so this is the thing to do anyway, regardless of if, because now it's a lot easier to have the access.
Yeah.
Is I went and did the AFI top 100 films. There was another international list that I had that kind of there was some overlap of films. Mm-hmm. When I put them all together, it was about 120, 130 films that I needed to watch. So I went and got a job at Blockbuster, because if you had a job, you could watch films for free. So in 3 months, I watched all those movies on my list. The week before I quit, they made me Employee of the Month. We had to think. I knew more about film than anyone else in the store.
Yeah.
And so someone could come in, ask about a movie. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they're asking about those bad movies that would just make me cringe. So I'd be like, oh, here. Here's something here. If you like this, maybe you might like this, which is a classic, and try to bring your watching level up a little bit. But I could, someone would come in for, to get one video, and I'd send them home with 5. And so, that made the corporate overlords very happy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. But basically nowadays, like you, for that same price of what, 5, you can get that for a subscription, and you get unlimited for a whole month.
Exactly.
It's just crazy, the amount of content that we consume. But do you think that's a problem? Isn't it a problem? We just get like that. I feel like having too much content in front of our face like that presents issues. Do you not think so at some point? To the viewer.
Yeah, well,
or consumer, I guess.
Yeah, well, to the consumer, it can be overwhelming. And
I think it's not overwhelming is the problem.
Huh?
I think it's not overwhelming is the problem. We just get in this nature of like good to where
Well, that's why the shorter content is starting to starting to buy that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And so because people may just want to sit down for 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I've seen series that are in the 5 to 10 minute, 15-minute range for per episode. Mm-hmm. And so what you get into is actually on the filmmaker side is that opens the door up, because unfortunately that means not everything is as high quality as it could be. And so that kind of opens up the door for your lower end filmmakers to actually make a couple dollars on some of their other content.
I don't understand how there could be films that aren't high quality nowadays. I just don't understand. You go to Best Buy and pick out any camera, and it's going to be good. Mm-hmm. So I guess you're saying most of the time it's the audio.
No, I'm not talking about the quality. It may be bad quality writing, maybe bad quality storytelling. When I'm thinking bad quality, I'm thinking in the range of story and
holistic,
here's the thing: you can have the red camera, and there's people who do, and they make crappy films.
Yeah, that's why I don't filmmake. I can make a beautiful image all day, 100%. I can light it. I can even do good sound, but I can't. I don't have good. I can't write a script. I just can't. I cannot write a script that's gonna. Now here's what I can do. I can tell a story based off of someone else's story. I can do that. So documentary filmmaking, yes. But I just can't create a story. And I know you can go buy scripts and things like that, but I've just never gotten into that.
So what we have is we have the Northwest Arkansas Screenwriters Collective. They're actually going to do a screenwriting panel at the film festival. And so I like to pair up screenwriters with filmmakers because you have the people who do the writing. And so what you do is you end up having pairs like that.
Oh, wow.
You have a pair. You have someone who likes to write. And so there's a lot of writers out there with scripts looking to pair up with a filmmaker and going, hey, I got this content. I got this. And then, and I've seen that happen at the meetings.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, it's really cool.
And so, if you're a filmmaker and you're wanting to do that, find a screenwriting group because there's your content.
Yes. Okay. Let's talk about for content creators, whether you're a writer, you're a filmmaker, you're a gaffer, you're a PA, whatever it is, you're on set. How do these different things work for people who are creating a film for funding? Like, some of these people, I've seen films created in Arkansas to where, these people have to take 30 days off to create this film. I mean, are they getting paid to do this? And if they are, how are they getting paid? Because I know they're trying to sell the film. So how do you, if you raise budget, if that's what you do, how do you do that? Do people typically do that? Walk me through all the financials of filmmaking in Arkansas specifically.
Well, so I am doing work on the state level. I am also on top of doing the work with the film festival. I am now the advocacy director for Arkansas Cinema Society. So once a month, I actually have a filmmaker forum across the state. So I'm going to be having one the first Thursday every month. So my next one's coming up is going to be in Little Rock. And we talk about all these different aspects. But let me walk you through kind of what the scene looks like in Arkansas. So all the governors until our current governor has funded our film rebate. So what the film rebate is, so you want to come in and you want to make $250,000, I believe, is the low limit to be able to qualify for the rebate. So if you want to make a film, first you have to be making something that's substantial or of budget. And so we do have films that come in that are in the, multi-million-dollar range. So
what do you mean by that?
So they come in, they have a budget of $1 to $3 million, and they're coming in here and they're wanting to shoot in Arkansas. Well, all the states have rebate programs, and what that means is so we have a 30% rebate. So if you're making $1 million movie and you qualify for the rebate, that means you're going to get $300,000 back, assuming that you follow all the rules and do X, Y, and Z. That's the way it works in around all the surrounding states.
Okay.
So here in Arkansas, we have the 30%. The problem is ours is under our governor's discretionary fund. So it means that the governor has to decide if they're going to fund it or not. In the past years, our governors have funded up to $20 million a year. Our current governor, not so much. So I actually we have some great friends on the legislature on the Republican side, because that's just the way it works around here. You got to have some room. And so we have some great teams with Dismang, who is in charge of the budget committee in the Senate. And we have Clark Tucker, whose sister is the head of the Arkansas Cinema Society. They work together. And so this last December, he found, I don't know what that means, but he found $5 million that they could give towards the film rebate.
Okay.
So we put that towards the film rebate. So you got to think about that. That $5 million is 30% to pay for that 30%. So you think there's several films or a couple really big films that $5 million could go to. Unfortunately, so we just had another fiscal session. And so our film commission right now is under the Commerce Department. And here's how it works. This is how government budgets work. People probably understand this. If you got money, all you have to do is re-put that money in, and then during the between year fiscal sessions, and you just get that money back. If it was in your budget before, you can keep it in your budget. They were actually going to try to increase that $5 million to $10 million. Well, they were looking through the budget proposals for the year. Commerce Department didn't put that $5 million back in the budget.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we're kind of looking at plans right now, because what we got to do is we need to get it. And so I'm getting real in the weeds now. So if you really want to get in the weeds of all this stuff, is what we need now is we actually need an actual budget item and get it out of the governor's discretionary fund. So we need a line item in the actual budget and go, this is how much we're going to give each year to film. So like Oklahoma, I think they're in 30 to 60 million now.
Okay.
That they give in their film budget. So they have budgeted.
Okay.
And so, but why that budgeted is so important. So say you're a producer.
Yeah.
Okay. You get approved for the film rebate. Well, being under the governor's discretionary fund, the governor could be like, no, I'm sorry, I don't have the money for it. I'm not going to give you that money. So that money doesn't exist until the check is written.
Okay.
Well, if it's budgeted, that money exists because it has a line item in the budget. And how that affects a producer is that means that you can go to a bank, you can go get a loan on that $300,000. So if you're making $1 million movie, guess what? You now only have to raise $700,000 because that 300 is guaranteed by being in the budget. Okay. And so that incentivizes even more companies to come in, because now you only have to raise $700,000 to make that $1 million movie.
So it's giving you leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why those rebates are important. And the reason why to bring in those movies, so when those people take off those 30 days to make the movie, they're getting paid. And the whole idea is right now, because we're a non-union state, we don't have union rates on films.
Yes.
And so we're trying to get the rate on films in Arkansas raised too. So we're working really hard to try to support our crew, because the crew base is the most important part of any film industry.
Yeah.
And so it's not, yes, you have your people at the top of your line, your producers, your directors, all those people, but all the below the line people are the people who make your film and that's the foundation of a film industry. Right. And so we're working really hard to get not only that money secured so that the producers will come in, but the more movies that we come in, so maybe you have to, eventually you don't have to take off work for 30 days because there's so many films coming in. That is your job.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's the goal.
Yeah.
And so part of that goal that we're trying to work towards this year with the film festival is why I've added the Mid-America Film Market. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing in distributors, right? So the end goal, if you're going to do this for a living, is you want to sell your film.
Yes.
So we're bringing in distributors that you can talk to that might want to buy your film. And so what we're offering, so with everything, it's the first year, so it's wearing me out. But our first year for the festival, it's small. So what we're offering three things. You can do one-on-one sessions with a distributor. And it's going to cost you, because being able to get in front of a distributor is not easy.
Yeah. And who are some of these distributors?
So right now we have Porter Craig Film and Media coming in as our lead distributor. They're working in to try to bring in some other distribution friends also. Yes. So we're waiting to hopefully get that whole list in shortly.
And for people who don't understand what he means by distributor, basically what that is when you sell a film, typically like Netflix is not the actual person who buys the film. It's a distributing company, because sometimes that film is distributed across multiple different, majority of the time the film is bought, especially if it's a small budget film, and distributed across multiple different streaming platforms.
And multiple regions. So you might have several platforms that it goes into. So you'll have your US market. So what you do is you have your streaming market. And so with these distributors, they just had a film that they just got into a limited run on the theaters. So they also work with the theater companies to get limited runs. But then they have a foreign market. So maybe you only end up streaming in the United States. You could end up in the theaters in some foreign countries.
Oh, cool.
And so these distributors have multiple places to get you into. So that's why being able to have those conversations, because to get in front of a distributor is not an easy thing. Yeah. And so we're going to have one-on-ones available. Granted, they're $500 for 30 minutes, but it's worth it if you have a film that's ready to go, packaged. And
because that can make them like how much? I mean, that could be the film could sell for how often do films sell that you saw here?
I This is our first year doing the market.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Do you have a range at all though? Of what
no, I mean,
films?
that's it. Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
If your film is going to sell, it depends on. So here's the thing. Here's what so we're also going to have we're also going to have a distribution and a film finance workshop.
Okay.
Those are $50 a person, and they're limited to 20 people. So that's where they can answer some of those questions, right?
yeah.
And how that happens. And then we're going to also have some roundtables, which are pitch roundtables. So,
wait, where are the film finance people coming in from? Are they here?
no, we're bringing them in.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
And then so that's going to be part of the packages. So those workshops are $50 to come in, and you get to do your pitch. So instead of getting that one-on-one time, maybe you just want to test your pitch out.
Yeah.
And then so we have pitch roundtables, which are $200, and there's only limited to 6 people per roundtable. And so we have these options to get you in front of and start to get people in this area, in this region, in front of distributors to where we can start selling films. And if we can start selling films here, then they can make another film, and then that crew base grows.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that's our part that we're trying to do in the bigger scheme of things. And then I also trying to work with the legislature and all those things to get that fixed. So I actually, I've made presentations in front of like those, you see those budget committees and stuff. I've sat there in front of all of them and did presentations and answered all the questions. And so I'm trying to advocate on that level for film in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But when I think about the region, so regionally, think about going against Los Angeles. There's more people in the city of Los Angeles than the entire state of Arkansas.
Crazy.
So you got to think what we're competing with, right?
Yeah.
So when I think about the market, I'm thinking about a 6-hour region from Dallas to Oklahoma City to St. Louis to Wichita. Then you got Memphis. Then you got Jackson, Mississippi. You got Shreveport. So I'm thinking about that whole circle. And because to grow film here, we have to work together in a bigger region to compete. And you have to start thinking regionally, So yes, it's great to go, oh, I wish I had some crew here and stuff like that. But if we can start thinking about building up the crew in that entire region and working in that whole region, that's the game changer. That's when we can really start making. I mean, they just made Twisters in Oklahoma.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of stuff.
And they were filming a film down here in Van Buren.
Yeah, exactly. They just turned down Van Buren to put dirt down, and so things are starting to happen. They're starting to grow, and I'm trying to keep that momentum going.
Yes,
and that's what you got to do. Is just then it's being here and being available for other people, right?
Yes.
So maybe while you're not making a film, maybe you're a camera operating or a lighting person for someone else.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that.
And then that's why the whole River Valley Film Society is to build that community in River Valley.
Yes.
And then I do the filmmaker forums to build that community across the state. So I'm trying to just bring those circles and build them and make them bigger and bigger, because that's what it takes to keep everyone doing what they love.
Yes, 100%.
Because we don't want to have real jobs, do we?
Yeah.
See, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, is we don't want to have a real job. We don't want to be sitting in a cubicle doing a 9 to 5.
We want to do what we love. Yeah. Did you have anything to do with the film downtown in Fort Smith, or do you know anything about it?
Well, I know one of the people that were in the production team had a film in our festival a couple years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so she called me up, and I helped put out the call for actors. And that's one of the ways I helped up. I put the call on our River Valley Film Society group page. And that's what I encourage a lot of people to do. If you look at that page, when people have the call, sometimes it's like, hey, I need a sound guy.
Yes.
Or someone will say, hey, I'm a sound guy who needs me.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so it's trying to get that and build that community and get everyone working together, because I don't want a filmmaker to have to go through what I went through. In 2018 is when I started making my first movie here, of going, okay, how do I build a crew when the crew don't even know their crew from the same town?
Wow. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's what's gotten us here today.
Yeah.
And now we're going to be showing 201 films from 30 30 countries, featuring 80 Arkansas and Oklahoma filmmakers. And on top of that, we're going to have another 20 indigenous films.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and so like I have one block of films that has a Choctaw, Cherokee, and I personally went to Downstream Casino where the Quapaw are and acquired the first ever film produced by the Quapaw. And so that's the thing is like you have to, so if you're going to make something, you're like, all right, here's a platform for you to show yourself. And then guess what? They have their second film out. It didn't go to my festival, it went to another one because they didn't make it in time for my submissions, but they're growing.
Yeah.
And if every film they make, and so it's, as I said, if you start thinking regionally, instead of like, okay, what I can just do in my own backyard, that's when you really start to grow.
Yes. That's awesome. And that's all happening. Like this is the poster for that, right?
Yeah. Here. So here we go. We'll hold this up. There we go. So yes, August 22nd through 24th. So we're going to be at Temple Live in the Bricks. The Bricks is across the street from the Temple. And so basically it's 201 films in 3 days. It's a movie marathon. We have 34 feature films. So that's another thing that we increased for the market was having more feature-length films and to do that. But we also have a couple pre-events.
Yeah,
so
I was going to wonder. Yeah,
on the Wednesday before.
Yeah.
So because we're the River Valley Film Society, I tried to make the festival represent that. So we have the Arkansas CW did a show about paranormal at King Opera House.
Okay.
Then we also had another documentary come in about paranormal activity in the King Opera House. So we're having like a ghostly pre-event on the Wednesday before at the King Opera House. And then, so we love to partner with, you know, Fort Smith is twinned with Cisterna, Italy. The first year of the festival, I went to their festival. Their festival just finished last weekend. I was a judge in their festival. They're a judge in our festival. So we try to maintain those cultural ties between our sister cities in Italy. We just twinned with Nago Torbole, which is where General Darby died, who's from Fort Smith and started the Army Rangers. Okay. So he dies 3 days before the war ends, which is tragic. The same day he dies, 25 mountaineers drowned in a duck boat accident. So they did a documentary about that accident. They even take a submarine down to find the wreckage. They're bringing that movie here. We're going to show that at the History Museum on the Wednesday before, and it's going to be the first official city visit with our new sister city. That's part of the film festival. So that's where film comes in, right? It's that cultural divide between cities all across the world.
Wow.
And so we're demonstrating that.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
And
that's all happening on the 28th.
So August 21st are our pre-events in Van Buren and at the History Museum, and then the 22nd through the 24th is when we're having the film festival and the market. Okay. We also have a couple off-site things. So when I find a film that connects with another nonprofit, I try to find a way to work with that nonprofit because that's another just partnering, you know?
Yes.
And that's the way you grow. You partner with people in your community. So we had a movie come in. It was called The Toy Cart. And it's about getting toys for a children's museum in Oklahoma. Well, we have the Fort Kids Museum here in Fort Smith. And they have an exhibit right now in the bakery. So we are going to, on the 22nd, they're going to do a little thing at 4:30, 5 o'clock with all the kids. And then we'll show the Toy Cart movie.
Wow.
And just a way to kind of promote them. And so like when I find something like, oh, this connects to you, I do that. I connect them. So I also have a movie that we're going to show our first time ever at the Ed Wilkinson Pavilion at Bell Park in Greenwood. Okay. We're going to show a movie down there called God's Plan. Wow. You know, and so I'm like, well, that's a Greenwood movie.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I find other partnerships within the movies that we're showing at the festival. And so I use movies as a bridge. Yes. And because that's what they're for, right? They're a communication bridge.
Where can people go to like look at all the information or even sign up and buy some of these workshops or sessions? Okay. Or if they're like a general public invited to these events?
Oh yeah. No, last year we had 800. We're expecting over 1,000 people this year.
Okay.
You know,
And do they have to pre-sign up if you're just a person coming in to the festival at all?
yeah, you have to buy tickets.
Okay.
So our tickets are on sale. Actually, I don't. This will probably be after this does, but we have some specials going on right now to end of July.
Okay.
But you can go here. It's a really hard website to remember. FortSmithFilm.com.
Oh man. Oh.
Can you remember that? FortSmithFilm.com. You can go there. We have a rough schedule up right now. We're going to have our full program up here in a couple weeks because we go to press with it in a few weeks. Because here's a nice thing. One of our big partners is the River Valley Democrat Gazette, who is actually bringing news to the River Valley again. The actually local news. They have 15 people, and they're a huge sponsor of us. And part of their sponsorship, the What's Up part of their Sunday paper, the week before the festival, they give us the whole What's Up.
Wow.
So we'll have
That's cool.
We'll have 8 to 16 pages in there.
Yeah.
Detailing all the movies so you can see where they're playing, what time they're playing, descriptions, see posters. They also put in some stories, so we'll have interviews. We have a really amazing keynote speaker this year. So on the Friday the 23rd, does anyone out there have ever heard of The Simpsons?
Oh yeah.
Or Toy Story?
Oh yeah.
So Matthew Loon, who's coming in, he went from The Simpsons, and he's worked on every single Toy Story, Ratatouille, Monsters, Inc. And so what he's going to talk about is what's going on now with AI is the same thing he saw in the 90s when they were first going to computer animation and everyone was freaking out about it. And what he talks about is how to use it as a tool. Yes, AI is doing bad things, but that stuff will get worked through all the copyright issues. But if you don't learn how to use the tool, you'll get left behind. And so this guy has done keynote addresses for huge corporations. But he's coming here. It's going to be his first time in Arkansas. He's flying in from San Francisco. So we're going to show him a good old Southern time.
Yeah.
And let him see what we have. Give him some barbecue, some sweet tea. Throw slap on that Southern hospitality.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That's really, he sounds like a really, really cool person you don't want to miss, especially if you're interested in film of any sorts. Obviously, there are so many people who love the Toy Stories and really all those movies you said. It may be even fun just to come sit in with your kid, who love the film, to hear maybe some of the behind the scenes of what was going on behind some of these animations when they were being created.
And we have an animation section. So in our short films, what we do is we put them in sections. So you think of a type of film that you like. We have a short film section for that. Wow. So those 7 to 17 to 30-minute films, we have short blocks of drama. Drama not only from the United States, from around the world. You got action, comedy, animation. We got sci-fi. We have one of the biggest hits that we have every year in the festival is our thriller section. So we got a huge section of thriller movies that we're going to show.
That's awesome.
Everyone and actually that's one of our most local sections is our thriller section.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of thriller movie makers in this part of the country.
Yeah.
And so it's an easy way to kind of cut your teeth,
Yeah, for sure. Well, everybody, come out, watch some films, and thank you so much for coming on and talking about it. And you said they can go to, I can't remember the website because it was really, really hard. Can you say that website, closing out here, what that website was again?
FortSmithFilm.com.
And we're out.